Hey everybody, it's your girl Charlotte Van Horn with, let me see, who am I talking to today? I am talking to John and Aisha Banks, and they are in Colombia right now, but they was in Panama before. And so I'm coming to you. I am the founder of Black Expats in Panama Facebook group, and we are talking to Black expats in Panama and in other places too, to just get their perspective on the international living type thing. So let me introduce John and Aisha Banks. Hey guys.
Hola. ¿Cómo están?
Hola, ¿cómo está? You know, my Spanish has gotten so awful since I haven't been back to Panama. Well, you know, it wasn't that good. Who am I kidding? It wasn't that great from the beginning, but I've kind of lost some practice. So you guys are actually in Colombia now, so you are still working on your Spanish. John, I know you're leaving Aisha in the dust still. You still leave her in the dust?
Well, I wouldn't claim all of that, but one of the nice things about living in smaller communities in Colombia is that we're surrounded by people who primarily speak Spanish. And so that means that we have a motivation, because in order to engage with people just about everywhere we go, they all speak Spanish. A few of them want to learn English,
but they speak Spanish.
They speak Spanish.
You're emerged, and that's what's really up. Yes, it does help to be around the community that's speaking Spanish, and that's why I said, you know, my Spanish is really suffering right now. But anyway, I just want to welcome you to the interview, and thank you very much for taking the time out to spend with me. And if you could just introduce yourselves, and don't forget to tell us about your HGTV event and how you ended up in Panama, and we could just go from there. And I'm going to, and y'all know I'm a little challenged with my Zoom, but I'm going to try to run a video of some photos that you all have from your Panama stay. Okay, so you go right ahead.
Okay, so you know that we're John and Aisha Banks. We met and married in Los Angeles a number of years ago. And since then we moved to Northern Virginia, and then to the British Virgin Islands, and then to Maryland, and then we decided we wanted to explore Panama. We were actually looking for a place where we thought we might retire. And so we've identified several places. One of the things that we were looking for was a place that did not have hurricanes, because after living in the Caribbean, every June to November or so is hurricane season. So we wanted a place that did not have that. Panama turned out to be pretty high on the list of places that don't have hurricanes. And so we decided we would come first to explore and see kind of what it's like, get a feel for it. So we did that in July of 2016 for Aisha's birthday. We planned to be here for about 10 days, and we thought we were going to take in the city, the beach, the mountains, everything in 10 days. And it turned out that was near borderline insanity. So we got a couple of days of the city, and then we went to the beach, and we stayed there for the remainder.
Coronado.
We got as far as Coronado and fell in love.
Yeah.
I loved the beach. I loved the idea of we're living in a place where I could have toes in the sand, walk out the door on the beach. And it was just extraordinary living. We loved it there. As long as I had the beach, a dishwasher, Wi-Fi, I was good to go.
Wi-Fi is a must. Wi-Fi is a must.
Wi-Fi is essential. So anybody who is from the United States or any first world country, one of the things that I think is really, really critical, and you want to check because it's not to be taken for granted, is that wherever you're going has high-speed Wi-Fi available. We found that, and actually we got there and we were thinking we were going beyond Coronado, and we met some friends who said, well, you know, you're coming back, so why don't you do the other stuff another trip. We found that to be wise. Another piece of good wisdom we found is that don't decide make a long-term commitment until you've been in a place for a while, so you really understand. A year, so you know what your choices are, what fits your lifestyle better. But after we had been there for less than 10 days, we decided that we knew enough that we were going to come back a year later. And so in June or July of 2016, we signed a lease that would begin in June of the following year. So essentially a year in advance, because we knew we wanted to come back. And then we did come back in December, 6 months later, just to make sure we weren't crazy. And then we actually did move to Coronado in June of 2017, and we absolutely loved it.
And that's where I met you.
Yes.
And yeah, that's where I met you guys in Coronado. I'm gonna see if I can start this over again without completely messing us up, because these pictures were so good. And I think some of the pictures, you know, you were actually having you guys, like the beginning of the pictures, so you all were on HGTV. That's what this is here.
Yes, I guess Aisha should talk about that. That was she led the call on the HGTV.
When we were in Baltimore, I was like, there's not a lot of Black people on HGTV, and we need to do something about that. So I emailed them and I said, you know, we're not represented. And they said, well, we'll get back with you. Little did I know, as soon as we moved to Panama, they sent me an email asking us to do an interview or to send them a trial video.
Yes.
So we did that. It was a lot of paperwork and a lot of aggravation, but I was determined that we would get through this. So they said, okay, you're selected. We're going to do a show with you guys. And they filmed for 5 days.
5 long.
5 long.
For a 1-hour show.
Oh my God. It's not even, it's 30 minutes. So that was very grueling, but working in the television industry before, I kind of knew what to expect. I worked in St. Thomas in television doing camera work, editing, and then I produced a television show for John for 5 years called Soldiers of the Cross. I should have sent you a picture of that. So I was pretty much familiar with the television industry, but it worked my last nerve being in front of the camera, retake. But we got through it. And it was all.
Well, you made it look seamless. You really did. I was so, you know, amazed when you told me that story initially, because it really did look seamless. And they were able to capture, I think that they did a good job of capturing both you and John. You know, I felt like I kind of knew you before I even met you. I thought they did a really good job. And just real quick, tell us about these pictures that are flashing.
Okay,
I'm sorry, can you see?
We're not seeing them.
I can't see.
Sorry, I'm showing right now. You're seeing the New Year's Eve, what do you call it? The thing where you did the play.
Oh, okay. When I first came to Panama, I said I have got to use my skills. So I started doing murder mystery dinner theater, and the first one we did was in Christmas. I'm Dreaming of a Red Christmas, and we sold out in minutes. And it was just the most rewarding and fun, and we took the money and gave it to charity so that kids would have a good Christmas. And then we did it again, I think June a year ago, which was emotional baggage. And oh, we had so much fun, and the community is desperate for entertainment. So murder mystery dinner theater is what we do. And John's detective inspector, the will is pending.
Right. Because there's been a murder.
There's been a murder, and we have to figure out who did the murder. So yeah, murder mystery dinner theater.
So I wanted them. I'm sorry.
And,
I'm sorry
as
you
well
guys
as
couldn't
have
see all.
novels. So I write and
I'm sorry you guys couldn't see those amazing pictures. I thought that you could. I was flashing all the pictures at that time. So you lived in Coronado when you were in Panama, and you enjoyed it. You made good friends there. And at any time you didn't feel like you'd rather be in the city or Boquete or anywhere else, that was just where you wanted to be.
Well, I think one of the interesting things about it is that we had the opportunity to explore those different experiences from Coronado. So when we felt like we wanted a city experience, we would go spend a weekend or a few days in the city. And then when we wanted to have a mountain experience, we would go to Boquete or some of the other destinations. And so, Padassi and others. And so we had got a chance to see a lot of what Panama is like, but we did it from Coronado. Now, it depends on some people in your audience may prefer a mountain experience, or they may prefer a city life experience. And that's one of the reasons why we would recommend go there and see for yourself first and figure out what you really like, and then make that your base. And then from there, go spend time exploring the other areas, because there is a wide variety.
It's a big variety.
Panama is a huge country.
And Panama, it's
something
for everyone.
A lot to see and do.
And it's something for everyone, you know, like I always say, I'm a suburban chick. I don't want to live at the beach, and I don't want to live around a whole bunch of trees, you know, but I want to be able to get to the city in 15, 20 minutes. I can get to the airport in 15 minutes, and I can be to, you know, used to be your house in Coronado, which was lovely, within an hour. So that makes me happy. But what I like is that there's so much variety in Panama for people to do different things. So when you came to Panama, you all came in, is it pensionado? You came in as pensionado?
Yes, pensionados, and they use the word jubilado also, which means people who are senior citizens, essentially. And we applied for residence on that basis as jubilados, senior citizens. And one of the nice things about Panama is that they have a lot of discounts built into their economy for people who are senior citizens. So you get discounts on air travel, you get 25%
off,
discounts on
movies,
entertainment, and medical services, a wide variety of things you get discounts for just because of your age. And it's kind of nice to get some.
They're good discounts too.
Like $12. $12 to go to the doctor. I mean, it's just like $2.50 for the movie. It's good.
I was going to ask you about.
So we found an attorney through friends. Matter of fact,
go ahead.
Oh, about the attorney. So we asked around, and a couple of people in my building had already went through this, and we found 3 people said the same attorney. So that was enough for us. So independently, they didn't know each other. And so we got in touch with our attorney. Now, one couple in our building, they paid like $3,000 each. And when we got in touch with our attorney, it was like $1,600 for both of us.
So we got a really good deal and absolutely first quality service.
First quality.
And in addition to all the handling all the legal paperwork and all of that, this particular attorney has like a family thing going on. So the mother is the attorney that does all the legal paperwork. One of the daughters handles all the activities where you have to actually go to the immigration office, and she actually walks you through all the different steps. And because we're senior citizens, we get to go to the head of the line. We don't have to stand in long lines. And then when you finalize it, to actually go and get your actual document, they call it a cedula. It's like a national ID card. Then her husband is the one that comes in and walks you through that process in a different building. And so we got to meet the whole family, well, 3 out of the 4 members of the family, and they were just, they just treated us with the greatest respect, and they listened carefully to all of our questions and concerns. They gave us answers that were fully responsive to our questions. And it was world-class service, and so we would recommend them for sure.
Yes, and you can give their name, if you like. Sure.
Myra Lambers.
Yeah, I'll while we continue with the rest of this, I'll actually.
Okay, and then because I will definitely put them out there, because like you said, you got 3 referrals, and that is huge. And when looking for an attorney in Panama, I highly recommend that you have a referral that you can trust. It's just not
Right,
Yes,
exactly.
and what I would suggest, I'll send you the contact and the name and contact information, and then you can put it on the screen afterwards, so that your viewers will be able to get that information and know that they got it right. They didn't just have to listen to it.
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
I will definitely do that. So
Okay.
we did touch briefly on medical. So how did you find, like, if you had to have medical treatment in Panama, how did you find that service? Because that's a thing.
Again, we asked around.
Mhm.
And one of the things about the people who we met, particularly in the Coronado area,
Mhm.
is that somebody has had to do the same thing that we had to do. And so we just asked around. And we always got recommendations for, go to this person, go to this place, call this person.
Well, we also belong to Beach Business. Now, I would recommend that to anyone. It meets on Tuesday mornings. It's a breakfast club, even if you don't have a business. But that's where you network and you meet people. And any question or anything you need at Beach Business, you just stand up and say, hi, my name is such and such. I'm thinking about moving here. This is what I need. And so many people will be there to embrace you and steer you in the right direction. Another thing is there's Panama Helpline, which you can join. If you need to get to the hospital, they have people who speak Spanish for you. They send the ambulance to get you. If you got a flat tire, it's like your AAA. So Panama Helpline is something you have got to have. And that helped us a lot too.
That was a tremendous help. So we had one case
I've
of
never heard of that.
somebody ran out of gas. And so and so they came and they brought gas for me when I ran out. We had an occasion where we had a dear friend who was very sick and needed
Very
hospitalization urgently. And we called them and they made the call and they interpreted in Spanish what our friend's situation was, what the need was. They stayed on the line for a good hour or more.
Wow.
While we walked through all the things that in providing information that was needed and made sure that we got the help that we needed to get our friend to the hospital. They sent the ambulance, and but
it's networking.
It costs like $100 a year, and it's worth every dime.
How much is it?
About $100 a year.
Okay. Now that's interesting. Now I know another couple that lived in Coronado, and you knew them too. And one thing that they said though is that when they were sick, that the urgent care in town had closed. It wasn't like a 24/7 thing, and it really made them nervous because there wasn't like an ER to go to.
Yeah, that's our community clinic that closes, but there's a hospital in San Carlos that's from Coronado. It's about 15 minutes.
Okay.
And so you can't go to San Carlos.
And it's open 24.
And it's open 24/7. Or if you have some serious trauma, then you go to St. Nicholas. That's where they took our friend who they end up flying him out back to Boston. So you got to know what to do. And Panama Helpline will get you straight to where you need to go.
But then also having a car. I mean, how important is it to have a car in Coronado, do you think?
Not really important.
No. We did have a car. And again, a friend of ours connected us with a friend of theirs who was looking to sell a car. And the day after we arrived, we purchased the car. And cars are available, but it really isn't essential. It was our preference.
Right.
But you can manage very easily. A number of folks that we know don't
have cars. And because taxi service will come right there to the condo and get you.
And it's inexpensive.
Or everyone in the building is so close. It's like, I'll say, Sandy, I'm going shopping on Tuesday. Girl, I'm riding with you. You know, so it's kind of like that. If you feel like you want a car, great. But you don't necessarily have to have one in Coronado.
Right. So you made a lot of friends. People have a tendency to be close. You made a lot of friends in Coronado.
There are a lot of expats in both U.S. and Canadian expats in the Coronado area, and we tend to kind of cluster.
Mhm.
And one of the things I like about the particular building where we are, although it's not just this building, it's the whole area, is that we look after one another. And so if you haven't seen somebody in a few days, you're going to get a call. People are going to want to make sure that you're okay. And if there's something that you need, people are going to go out of their way. Even though we're living where we are now, our friends who still live in Coronado are helping us with things that we need to do back there,
Right.
even though we've been gone for 6 months.
That's
selling everything in the condo,
Yeah.
selling our car, everything. They're taking care of for us. It's a great community.
That's what's up. And so what do you think about Coronado when it comes to diversity?
Coronado is not a very diverse community, although, well, when we moved into the building, we were the only African-American couple in the building.
Okay.
Over the course of the time that we were there, other African-Americans moved in, and there was even one other young family that moved in.
Two families.
We had a couple families that moved in.
Yeah.
But that unfolded over the course of time that we were there.
So it's growing.
So it's growing. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in the United States just don't know about the opportunity. And so it's not something that they target. When people think of Panama, they don't think of Coronado, they think of Panama City. And yet there is such a great opportunity in Coronado and the surrounding areas. It's just not as well known.
You know, I hear so many people talk about Boquete. You know, a lot of people are like, I'm going to Boquete, I'm going to David, and I need to get out there and visit. But I mean, I have just not been very excited about the whole prospect because y'all know how I am about them damn geckos. And just, you know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? I mean, it took a lot from me. And there's other people out there too that have, you know, issues with things that we're not used to. And just getting used to the geckos has been a thing for me. And I talked to Boquete, they talking about monkeys and just a lot of greenery and stuff. And that's just not what makes me happy.
No.
Well, I think the thing that's important is that as you talk to different people who may be interested in going to a place like Panama, there are going to be different interests in the kind of experience that they want to have. And I think the real point to make is that there are so many different experiences available to be had. And the best thing, I said it before, I'm going to say it again, go to these different places and see what they're like so you can decide for yourself. I spent a lot of time in the mountains because growing up I was in Boy Scouts, and so when we went to Boquete the first time, I felt like, wow, this place is wonderful. I don't necessarily want to live in Boquete. But
it's a nice place to visit.
But it's beautiful.
And it's chilly. So if you don't like that humidity, it is hot in Panama and humid. But in Boquete, it's a nice breeze. At night, you can pull up a blanket on you. So people like that. It's a small town, so it was a little bit too small for me. You know, even living in Coronado, but I can get in a car and spend the weekend in Panama City and feel like I'm in New York. But that's a 5-hour drive.
So Coronado is an hour and a half to 2 hours west of Panama City. Boquete is another 5 to 6 hours further west. So, and you mentioned David. David is the point where you're driving west from Coronado and then you turn north to go to Boquete. David is sort of like in the desert area.
Next door.
And then you go up the hill into Boquete, and you're in Boquete. And it's like an hour up the hill from David. But the point is that there's this desert experience, there is the mountain experience, there's the beach experience, there's the city experience, there's even an Indian reservation experience.
Oh yeah.
And the way to get the best out of Panama is to just go to these different places.
But the one thing that you didn't say, and the one thing that I find that a lot of people don't say, is the suburban experience.
Well, you know, we looked at that because we were thinking about moving down by where you are. As a matter of fact, they were building these new developments because Byrne is the name of our builder. And this new city that opened up right by you, it's called Casco Viejo.
Okay.
It's right next to Charlotte. And I mean, everything is there. So we were like, okay, we looked at some condos. And I was like, but we like the beach. Even though they're talking about making beach now in the city, they're going to dredge it and make beach there. But the traffic is horrible.
Yeah.
And I said, well, let's do it so we'll be close to the airport. And then it was like, well, how often do we get on a plane? So that wasn't necessary.
True.
So we decided, let's just park our behinds right in Coronado until we could figure this out. Just like we were saying to your audience, do not make a decision until you have been around a while.
Yes. I just happen, I like Brisa de Golf Norte. And I like Panama City. I love the Coronado, being at your house. But I like Brisa de Golf Norte. It's new. I have an HOA. I have gated community. It's a clean area. It's there's a lot of security. It's very diverse. And so there's also that person that wants that that suburban. I'm that suburban chick. There's that person that wants that experience. I'm not too far from you, and to other beaches, but I'm close to trains, if not that I've been on one, but I'm close to trains, I'm close to planes, I can walk to everything. And even like my last ER experience, oh my gosh, I want to say we had to go to urgent care. We could walk to it if we had to. And I want to say that I saw a doctor, got my prescription and everything. I can't remember exactly, but it was like maybe $30, $40, something like that. And so people are concerned about medical and stuff like that, but really, especially on American retirements, the medical treatment is so inexpensive that you can consider that too. A lot of Black people that want to move to different areas, now is our time because we can live well at different places on our retirement, right?
Exactly. There's one thing my mother told me. My mother told me after college, I was like Daisy Bird. I was flighting all over the place. And she said to me, you know what? Go. You can always come back home.
That's right.
And that was my motto. I could always come back home. And since I say age 21, I've been living everywhere. The Virgin Islands, St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John, Nevis, Tortola, Virgin Gorda. I mean, I just go. And my husband is very settled. But since he met me, it's a whole nother thing. I saved the day.
I know. You know what? It takes that balance. You know what I'm saying? It takes that balance.
And having the diversity of options. You mentioned being able to take the train. There's a metro, and so one of the last trips I made out of Panama before we came here, going up to the States, your husband Al was gracious enough to host me the night before I took off. And I was able to catch a bus in Coronado that cost me all of $2.50.
With your jubilado.
Because of the jubilado discount. Normally it's whopping $5. It took me to the main bus station in Panama City. There I got on the metro and Albrook, yes. And from there I got on the metro and spent a whopping 35 cents to take the metro most of the way
to your exit.
To your exit.
Brisa's exit.
Where Al picked me up and spent the night there, and then the next day got up and he took me to the airport. But I mean, it cost less than $3 to get from Coronado
all that way
to your house.
All that way.
That's not something you can find everywhere.
And it's great that you explored all that. Now, you guys are in Colombia now, and I want to talk to you a little bit about Colombia, but I want to ask you briefly. Now, y'all drove in Panama. Just tell everybody what that experience is. What was your experience in driving in Panama?
Funny. Well, first of all, people in Panama are not that great at giving directions. and then they're giving them to you in Spanish. And so I would encourage people to kind of brush up your Spanish if you can before you come.
Right.
The first time we went, we spoke no Spanish at all.
None.
And it was a frustrating many hours before we finally got to Coronado.
3 hours.
And I was driving a rental car. One of the nice things, though, is that we ran into a police officer and people in Panama are so kind and so willing to help. They may not know what to do, but they are willing to help.
Right.
And this police officer looked at the information I had about the hotel we were trying to get to, and he didn't know how to get there, but he conferred with everybody that was in the immediate area, and collectively 4 or 5 people figured out where we were trying to go and gave us directions.
Oh.
There are very poor road signs. So if you're looking for road signs to give you directions, forget that.
Still more about landmarks.
Yeah, so use Waze or use Google Maps. They are both pretty good in terms of telling you how to get from one place to the other.
I love Waze. Waze
Every
is
once
very
in a
good.
while, they will give you directions after you should have turned, but
for the most
part, they're good. But we did end up getting our driver's license, our Panamanian driver's license, about the same time as we got our cedulas.
Yeah.
And
you have to do a blood test.
And a hearing test.
And if you're over 70, you have to go to a doctor. You have to go to a doctor, and they have to give you a cognizance test.
They give you visual acuity test and some kind of mental cognitive test to make sure you're okay to drive if you're 70 or more.
So did you have to take a written test to get your license?
No.
Because we had a driver's license already.
So we took a
We didn't
vision
have
test,
to take no written or driver's.
just a vision and a hearing test.
Vision and hearing, and that was about it.
Oh, okay.
And you know, I was going to go back and tell you a lot of stuff. If you're looking to get your jubilado, we were in DC area, and we went to the embassy before we came back, and the embassy postulized a lot of our papers.
Okay.
Okay, so you can get a lot of stuff done ahead of time, and then when you come to Panama, you just present it to your attorney, so they don't have to send off for it, and it takes like a year, and everything's expired by the time.
Yes, and that's an important point to make, especially because I just interviewed my attorney, and you know, everything is usually good for about 6 months, and then you have to start renewing stuff. And so the thing with immigration right now in Panama is that everything is by appointment, and things are kind of slow. So you gotta time that right. And so that's really good advice. I thought y'all was gonna say how aggressive the drivers are, because I mean, I gotta put on my gangster face when I drive, and I only drive in Brisa. You know, I let Al do all the heavy duty lifting, and it's a lot for me. Panama traffic makes me miss DC.
Now that's funny, but the folks in Panama are not great drivers. But, and when we first got there, we were reticent to drive on the highway because they just do kind of erratic kind of stuff. But after we got there, got settled, then we kind of, a little bit of time, just eased into driving.
But our problem too is we were coming from the British Virgin Islands, and we drive on the left.
Other side.
Yeah. So it was like trying to remember, and since the steering wheel is on the left, it's easier for me to drive on the left.
Wow.
So yeah, so that was like getting used to,
I see tourists coming into Panama and at the airport renting cars, and I'm like, I'm glad I didn't try that, because I don't think I would have been ready for, you know, you're just not expecting somebody to come up on your right and turn left in front of you. You're not expecting that driving in North America, because, and then it's the things that happen, it's like would be considered road rage here, and you know, a reason for a fight. And it just seems like in Panama, everybody tries not to stop. It's like, if you gotta stop, that means you don't know what you're doing. If you really gotta come to a complete stop, that means, so that's what it seems like to me. But now I want to give you guys a little bit of time to talk to me about your Colombian experience. And I have some pictures here, and y'all can go ahead. Y'all know, like I said, I'm challenged, but I'm trying. So y'all can go ahead and tell me about how you moved to Colombia and what that experience has been like for you, because I'm coming to see y'all.
Okay, we left Panama on January 3rd, and we were going to explore Colombia for 3 months, come back in April. Well, with the pandemic, we got stuck here. There are still no planes going to Panama yet. After 4 days of being in Medellin, because we said we would do 3 different places in Medellin.
3 different places in Colombia.
3 different cities, yeah. And we were at the first city, El Poblado, which is kind of like the Gold Coast, where the people with a little bit more money kind of hang out. So we stayed in El Poblado, and then we ended up going to this place on a hill, a mountain, a house that was gorgeous, but the people were so loud and rowdy, it was horrible. But anyway, so we ended up in Sabaneta. But after the 4th day here, John was like, I don't want to go back to Panama. And I'm like, well, what about your toes in the sand and your beachfront and all of that, you know, from HGTV? He was like, no, I want to stay in Medellin.
And that was really extraordinary, because usually Aisha is the one who said, oh, let's go this place, let's go that place. And after we had been here 4 days, I was just so mesmerized by the climate here in Medellin. We had been to Cartagena in 2017, and it's beach type of environment, very hot, very humid. And so we would go back there and visit because we have friends there, but didn't want to live in Cartagena. So let's go explore Medellin. And 4 days in, I'm thinking, okay, this is home to me. I want to stay here. And so that was a big shift, because the people here, the way they treat us is just so, it's like they've known us all of our lives.
Wow.
And the cost of
living, oh my God.
Like a third
yeah.
of the cost of living in Panama.
Because our condo in Panama to rent, 2-bedroom, was like $1,400 a month.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was in California, it would easily have been $10,000. So it was like that.
True.
But here, a condo, 2 bedrooms, well, we have 3 bedrooms now, a pool, a sauna, all of that, $425 a month.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Our utility bill in Panama was close to $300 a month because we had to run the air.
Mm-hmm.
Here, our utility bill is like $24.
Wow.
We don't need air conditioning because it never gets that hot.
Right.
And
food prices are cheaper here. Panama used to be cheap. I've noticed that it started creeping up, the cost of groceries. Yeah.
Yes.
But here you can find what you want. If I don't see it, I order my favorite stuff on Amazon, and it's delivered right to my door.
Mm-hmm. And how do you find Colombia's? I'm sorry.
I was just saying that it caught us by surprise, because Aisha said we got stuck here, but before the quarantine happened, we had already made up our mind we wanted to stay.
Mm-hmm.
It just turned out that when it was time for us to go back, it wasn't possible
still no
planes, because there were no planes flying, and there still aren't to this day.
Right, and it takes 2 weeks to get your cedula here. Well, it's slow because everything's been on lockdown, but it took us like 4 months, almost 4 months in Panama to get our jubilado, whereas here they move really fast and it doesn't cost as much money.
So you find Colombia to be much more diverse too, don't you?
There is a diversity here.
Yeah.
And it seems like, and maybe this is just a perception on my part, that people are a bit more, at least in this area, they're more family oriented.
Very.
And so if you sit in the park in Sabaneta, which is the city where we live, on any day of the week, and especially on Sundays, you'll see families clustered together, doing things together. You'll see a grandmother and her 20-year-old granddaughter walking arm in arm down the street. You'll see a guy with his wife and his 3 or 4 little kids running around the park. And there's just this very strong family orientation. And the people, they when they interact with us, they treat us with such honor and respect, almost as if we're their parents or something. It's
Wow.
We probably are the age.
well, we're old enough to be
Abuela. Grandparent.
but there is a something in their culture that has a respect for people that is even to a bigger degree than what we experienced in Panama.
And here, there's malls. Oh my God. They have every store you could think of. There's two malls across the street from each other in one place. So it's the shopping and the grocery stores. Everything that you need is right here.
And the quality of the food is good.
Yeah, it's good, and good restaurants. In Panama, we had to drive all the way, in Coronado, we had to drive to Panama City to get basic things that we needed. Here, it's not like that.
But you're not living in a beach community now, though, are you?
So we made the sacrifice.
Right.
No toes in the sand.
No toes. We're in the valley.
That's the thing. It seems like when you live at the beach community, there is a trade-off.
Well, not in Cartagena. That's a beach community,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very built up.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's very hot and humid.
It's hot and humid, and same with like Santa Marta. We went there. That's a beach community. It's very built up. It's just that in Panama, if you look in the next 10 years, Panama will have everything because they are. Not Panama,
Coronado.
Because they are growing and growing and growing, and the prices are going up and up and up. And here you can ride in a taxi for 20 minutes and it costs you like $2.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And the flight from Panama to Colombia is how long?
From Panama City to Cartagena is about 1 hour flat. Coming to Medellin is a little bit more than an hour, maybe an hour, 15, 20 minutes. But and the flights are very reasonable and very available. Well, they will be once
they open up. I think the 21st of September, they might open back up.
Well,
so we still can't go back to Panama.
I know. I don't think I'm going to make it back until January. It's going to probably be January before I go back. They're opening up for travel supposedly October 12th. And I'm just gonna wait and see how that go. I don't want to be quarantined in Panama and then come back and have to be quarantined. And so I'm gonna wait and see how it goes. And prayerfully, things seem to be going well in Panama. They've lifted restrictions, and next week they're going to be lifting some more. And so everybody's kind of got the hang of the mask thing, and they're working through it. So you found Colombia to do pretty good with the COVID.
Well, Colombia still has a pretty high number.
Bogota is off the chart. They have so many COVID cases, and I don't know what they're going to do. Matter of fact, they're not going to open up flights to Bogota just yet.
Wow.
Because they have been getting like 2,500 cases a day.
Wow.
One of the things that's different is that the government officials are not pretending that the COVID situation is something other than what it really is. And every day we're getting current information about what's going on and what changes.
Lots of recoveries, even though it's a lot of cases, a lot of recoveries, everyone wears their masks. It's no problem.
Yeah.
They don't have we have to be free people here, so we're not going to do it. It's not that at all.
Yeah.
So the case counts have been high, but the recovery counts are very strong, and the
social distancing. People
are wearing their masks. People are maintaining
spraying
their
down the air.
You see hand sanitizer and alcohol everywhere.
We came out to this area because they have one case. Like in our home, where our home is in Aveneta, it's like at 1,500.
Okay.
So I was like, no, we're going to where there's no cases. So they have one active case here. And we were looking to move to another finca, but we're having trouble getting into one. So we're going to go back to Sabaneta. And then we have another finca that we go to in the coffee country. So you'll hear from us soon. We'll be in Hardin, which is
So tell us, I mean, you say finca, and you've said that to me for a few times, and I'm assuming it's a type of dwelling?
Finca is a farm in Spanish.
Oh,
And it doesn't necessarily mean it's a working farm. What it means is that it's a place to live in the country.
Yes, acres. And your neighbors, like the neighbors across the road there, they grow coffee. The neighbors up the road, they do cows. And then further up the road, they do horses. So it's kind of like that, you know. And the people down below, they do gardening. They do, oh my God, I got I thought it was a watermelon, but she said, no, it's a zucchini from my neighbors. Yeah.
wow.
So I just opened it up. It's actually a squash, but I'm saving those seeds.
We're out in an agricultural area
Right.
outside of the city, and they call it finca.
Finca.
So
Okay,
we'll go
thank
to
you.
another finca from December through January. We'll be at a coffee finca. Because now that they're opening up everything, I want to see how these numbers are going to go.
Yeah.
You know, if they're going to start going up, you know, so yeah.
Yeah. I think that they, it's a wonder that they let people into a town that had one case, because it seemed like they'd be like, no, nobody can come
We
here.
got stopped.
Huh?
Oh, we got stopped several times before we reached
And then what do
here.
they take your temperature and?
Yeah, they take your temperature.
And we even had to have a document from the director of public health in Sabaneta that gave us permission
To
to
travel.
leave.
So
our
you had to
city
get
and
tested
come.
first?
No,
No,
not tested,
No,
but they checked the
okay.
temperature.
You
they
just-
check the temperature.
Okay,
And we had a document. We have a friend who's the head of public health.
okay.
So he gave us a letter and we just flashed that. But no, a lot of places were closed. You could not pass their border.
Yes, and I get it. I really do. Well, I thank you guys for coming on. And in closing, just hopping back to Panama for one moment, what advice would you give others thinking of making the move to Panama? And tell me the one thing that caught you off guard.
I mentioned the road signs, but I think
I can't hear you that well, John.
I mentioned the road signs how people don't give good directions.
Okay.
That was a biggie, but I think the biggest.
You might
thing
have
is-
something over your mic. I'm sorry. Something might be distorting your mic. No?
No.
It just dropped real low. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying about the bad road signs and the fact that people don't give directions. But I think the biggest thing is if you're thinking about Panama or anywhere in Central or South America, make the investment and learn some Spanish.
Yes.
For me, one of the biggest problems that I had is in some of the communities, they burn their trash. So in the middle of the night, I would wake up choking
Wow.
on this rubbish that's burning. So that drove me crazy.
Wow.
So there's a team of expats that are getting together and they're trying to do something about it because it's horrible. It's horrible. And especially in the dry season.
I'm from the country in Jersey, and we used to burn our trash. Everybody had a trash pit in the back. But I haven't seen that in forever. Now, the one thing that they do, because they don't do that in Brisa de Golf Norte, but the one thing that they do is we used to have a mosquito truck. We used to call it a mosquito truck back in Jersey because we lived in a rural area, and they would come through in the summer and they would spray. And they would spray that fog, and they would let us run behind that truck. That's what's wrong with us now, from running behind that truck. But they have mosquito trucks that come through our community. They probably come through twice a week. And but I don't mind the mosquito trucks because we don't have no mosquitoes. So you know, but listen, you guys have just been a wealth of information, and I do want to say one more thing before I go. You did not mention the fact that you are an author, and I would like for you to just tell us quickly what the names of your books are and how they can find them.
Oh, great. Well, I'm the author of 3 exciting novels.
Exciting.
The first book was Under Caribbean Skies, which told the story of 2 best friends that leave Los Angeles and move to the Caribbean. And the books are a trilogy. So the second book, Moonlight Over Caribbean Skies, actually follows the same characters. And then the last book is Wings Over the Virgin Islands, where I introduce new characters to the same old ones. It's a fast, fun read. It's exciting, and you'll see people in there that you know. You might see yourself. So it's a real sister girl, but guys like the book too. It's a fun, fast read that deals with the Caribbean, where you think the grass is actually green on the other side. Well, you have to go and see.
You have to go see, right?
Pardon me, Charlotte?
I said you got to go see. Sometimes it seems like it's greener.
They're available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com. You can download it, or either you can order your paperback book, and it comes like in 2 days. But like I said, it's a trilogy. It's a fast, fun read, and I highly recommend it. I've read it 3 times myself.
John, do you want to tell us anything about your endeavors lately before we go?
Well, I still do some technology consulting, but the main thing that I do is I'm a life coach. And so my coaching clients call me Coach J, and I help people figure out what matters to them and how to get what matters to them. And so I love working with clients remotely. One of the things that really is nice about our current lifestyle is that we can be anywhere, and as long as there's a good internet connection, then I can be a great coach. And so if you're looking for somebody who can help you figure out what matters most and how to get there, that's what I do.
And I'm sitting at the computer every day. I have a sitcom, #MyForeverFamily, and I've written 6 episodes, and I've submitted it to OWN, so I'm waiting. Keep that in your prayers.
Yes,
it is the funniest
what?
#MyForeverFamily.
Oh,
and it's about adoptive kids who come to this couple's home. It takes place in Virginia, and they have a sprawling estate. But it's the funniest book. All of the kids have special gifts. If it's from taking apart a toaster and putting it back together. One is a comedian. The other one is a botanist. So the kids have so many gifts, but they ended up at this family's home that really, really promotes their gifts. #MyForeverFamily.
I know that it's good, and really, it has been my honor. You know, one of the sweetest things for me in living in Panama was meeting you two. I just can remember my first Thanksgiving in Panama, and I was like, I really ain't that, big on Thanksgiving, but I guess because we weren't in the United States, I really felt like doing Thanksgiving, and you all invited us, and we spent that Thanksgiving and the next Thanksgiving with you, and it was just such a blessing. And it's meeting people like you who have made me love Panama so much. Now, y'all not gonna get me to move to Colombia, but I am gonna have to come out there and see you, because I love you guys. We anchor. See, my situation is different because we have family in Panama, and we invested in Panama, and I'm in for the long haul. I told Al, don't even look
This
at
your vacation home. No, Colombia vacation home. Ain't nobody telling you to come here and stay. This just for you. Come spend 3 months. Yeah, come spend 3 months, go back.
That is an option, and that's why y'all flow so easy. What a great life. What a
exactly.
But I love you guys, and I thank you very much
for
coming on and talking. Mwah. Kisses, and I'll see you soon. Be safe.
Okay.
We're looking forward to you and Al coming.
Hasta la vista.
Hasta la vista. Buenas noches.
Okay.
See y'all
See you
later.
soon.
Thank you.
All right.
This is Charlotte Van Horn with Black Expats Expats in Panama Facebook page. Don't forget to come over and subscribe to our page and become a member. We have an exciting announcement that's coming soon, but you're gonna have to be on the page to see it. It's gonna be first come, first serve. So hop over there now so you don't miss it. Talk to y'all later. Thank you.
Ciao.
Okay, bye-bye.